Hello, everybody, and welcome to the entertainment headquarters, and welcome to a new Let's Talk Live. So, Let's Talk Live is my segment on the channel where I, bring on a host of great friends, guests, and we'll just talk the shit about a certain subject that I and my guests have chosen. And today's subject is something I'm very excited about, because what really piqued me interest about this is that I've seen all over line, whether it's YouTube, whether it's, you know, just, all the hype about the brand new ride at Universal Studios, which is called Epic Universe, which is, of course, centered around none other than Universal Monsters. Yes. So, as you can see by my friend here, my guest, Mr. Jake Hall.
Hello there.
Mr. Daniel Miller, aka the Professor.
Good evening.
Yes, I get my freaking teeth back in. And of course, Mr. Anthony Jordan of Anthony Jordan's Movie and Gaming. Who was all, as you can see, like the rest of us, a huge fan of the Universal Monsters. So let's start. We'll start from the top and make our way down to the bottom. Jake Hall, can you remember the first of the Universal Monster films you saw and why you enjoy them so much?
The very first one that I watched, I had bought the VHS version where it had like the silver frame and it said classic Universal Monsters.
Yeah.
It was Creature from the Black Lagoon. I don't remember what year it was. It's been a while. I was still young. I'll say between 5 and 7 around that time. This was the very first Universal monster film that I watched, and I got hooked on it ever since. I love how the suitmation was. I loved how the guy that did the Gillman was able to hold his breath as long as he did, and he did a great job as the creature. And then from there, I started getting into the more of the Universal monsters, because the second one that I ever got was Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, and I enjoyed the hell out of that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, those two were my very first time watching Universal monsters, and then later on, I ended up owning the complete collections.
Yes. Mr. Daniel Miller.
My first exposure to the Universal Monsters was, now, I was confused for a long time as to which one it was until it hit me in preparation for this video. My first exposure was with the 1931 film Frankenstein, in which Boris Karloff played the monster created by Frankenstein. And the fact that you expect horror movies to have a lot of music spread throughout them. These Universal movies, there was only music at the beginning and at the end. The rest was just silence. And that, even by today's standards, just makes it all the more terrifying. But yeah, the Jack Pierce makeup effects and Boris Karloff's performance on this were absolutely the highlights of the film for me, including the production and the set design as well.
Yeah.
After Frankenstein, it sort of grew. So there was Dracula with Bela Lugosi. Then there was The Wolfman from 1941, and one of my all-time personal favorites, which remains undisputed even to this day, is the Gillman from The Creature from the Black Lagoon. Because the moment I found out of this one's existence, I was like, oh, I've got to see this. I have to know what this one's like. And immediately, it's never left. It's never left the impact it's had on me ever since. And yeah, ever since then, I just enjoyed watching the Universal monster movies. And now, looking back at them all, as you get older in life, you have more of an appreciation for these movies. So they're not just pieces of their time. These are of a time when movies, even horror movies, had a sense of style, presentation, story, and also character. Even in the monsters that we're meant to be afraid of, they're actually the heroes
Yeah,
that we've all
and
come
so
to know and love over
in
the.
yeah, and they're also part of film, cinematic history.
Yeah,
Because, like we say before, you had an MCU or a DCU or all the other universes. The Universal had probably, the first ever major shared universe with these characters. Like,
that's right.
yes, they've got all their own separated movies, but they all kind of live within the same world, the same confined space as one another. And like Jake mentioned, Frankenstein versus the Wolfman man kind of, Frankenstein versus the Wolfman kind of like, solidified that they were all in the same world.
Mm.
Mr. Anthony Jordan.
Well, I was so young, I don't even remember how old, but my first experience would have been the 1931 Frankenstein, which, as the professor pointed out, it's the earlier ones. They didn't have any music except the opening and ending titles, and it's cool to watch these early three, the Frankenstein, Dracula, and the Mummy, and just see the beginnings of sound movies where they're still figuring it out.
Yes.
Because before this, it was all silent. The music you heard would have been someone playing a piano or an organ at the theater, so they had yet to clue in, oh, we need to put music in these. But as I got older, I got to see more of them. Eventually, I would see the Wolfman, which isn't only my favorite Universal monster, but my favorite horror movie of all time. So, yeah, these films have had a big impact on my life.
Well, speaking of the Wolfman, that was my introduction to the Universal monsters. So I remember one night sitting down, and I think it was at my grandparents' house. It just happened to be on one like mid-evening, and I was hypnotized by the story, by how scary it was. And if you think about it, as a young kid, seeing like the Wolfman, seeing the makeup, seeing it all on screen as a young kid was quite terrifying. But of course, that, like everybody else, that piqued me interest into wanting to know more about that particular character. But that led me to, of course, another film which I also got hooked on, Dracula, which basically helped start my love of the vampire genre. Even though I discovered the werewolf genre first, this particular movie, I was hypnotized. And what up, Anubis?
What's up?
What's up?
So, what is it about these particular characters, and especially these versions of the characters? Because, as you know, long before Universal had marked, the Universal monsters, you had, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. You had, of course, Bram Stoker's Dracula. You had all of these books that, told these stories of these characters, and then they were turned them into movies. But it's these particular ones that seem to like always capture the imagination. And any follow-up or any reimagining of these characters, it always follows what began way back when with these ones. So what is it you would say makes people fascinated by these particular characters? We'll start with Anthony Jordan.
I think part of it would just have to be not only the writing and the acting, but look in the day and age we live in. these films are so old, they're literally like a portal to another time.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
like watching another world that's not like our own anymore. From the style of acting to cinematography, you just don't see anything like this anymore, and it just gives them this unique feel, as well as the atmosphere these movies built up. I mean, to this day, when you're talking horror movies and cemetery shots, nothing beats the universal monsters, like the opening scenes of Frankenstein or
Yeah.
the man stalking the grave digger. It's just, there's something special about these movies that can't be replicated.
Yeah. And Daniel Miller.
I would actually agree quite a lot with what Anthony said. These movies, they're quite literally a glimpse into not just another time, but very much so another world, a world where actually escapism is valued and so integral, but it's presented in these fantastic storylines that we forget for a moment we've actually escaped uh, modern
Yeah.
day. And I think why many people have such affection for the monsters and why they have the appeal that they do is that at their core, there is something not only human about them, but there's also something inhuman. There's a mixture
Yeah.
that scares and even repulses us, but at the same time, it draws us in. For instance, Dracula, he's this century-old undead master of darkness, and we know that his intentions are far from peaceful, but there's still some semblance of human attraction in there that just draws us in. Like when Bela Lugosi does that famous glare he does
Mm-hmm.
whenever the camera shows a shot of his face, and it's accentuated by the lighting around his
Yeah.
eyes. It amplifies that tenfold. There's also a more philosophical connection with all these. Like, for instance, the Wolfman, when Larry Talbot he becomes cursed, he wants to die, but he knows at the same time he can't die because it's the primal beast within that is that has the desire to live on. It's the human part that knows that it's fighting a monster inside and can't move on. The Gill Man, the creature from the Black Lagoon, he is in the same sense of the xenomorph a survivor. He's
Yes.
lasted all this time without change, without having to force himself to adapt. He's become the last of his kind and he's so alone. But when he meets Julia Adams, he sees something which he grows affection for, which is a surprisingly human trait for an otherwise inhuman character. So it's
Mm-hmm.
these sorts of parallels about monsters, especially the universal ones, that I absolutely like seeing, and I think it's what a lot of people, in some ways, find and feel an attraction to. If you compare them to today's modern monsters, you just don't get that same richness, that same aura. It's something. Well, yes, they're a lot more scarier. They're a lot more grounded in reality, but something has been boiled away in this distillation of going for more scarier and more complex. They just don't have that same pull that the
The
classics do.
subtlety is lost.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's something about the nitty grittiness and like the classic feel and look of like older movies. Like obviously, I know times have moved on, but I personally like when they attempt to do like a direct remake of the classic where they keep it within the era that it's in rather than try to modernize it in modern times. And for me personally, I know it didn't do as well as I think they wanted at the box office, but I generally think that this Wolfman is one of the best remakes
Yes.
that they've ever done.
Yep.
And I know it's got modern effects and the story slightly different with adding the father figure like the Anthony Hopkins, but the time it's set in, the era it's set in, the aesthetic of it all, the feel, it made me feel like, of course, yes, it's modernized, but it had that classic Universal Monsters feel to it.
And it's also in its own way, it's also a remake of Werewolf of London at the same time, because the backstory to Anthony Hopkins' character, that's what happened to the guy in Werewolf of London.
Yes. So it's great that they modernized, it's great how they took a modern werewolf movie and then put some of the backstory or element of that into another classic movie. If it's not fucking Alexa, it's fucking Jake Hall's house phone.
Well, I wasn't expecting it. I don't even know who the heck it is.
Setup.
Hey, it's not my fault. I mean, it rang off, and it caught me off guard too. So I don't even have an Alexa.
Your acting's amazing, Jake. Acting, you deserve an Oscar. But anyway, let's talk a little. I'm going to go a little deep because I didn't know this till I read up a little bit about it. The Universal Monsters, also known as Universal's Classic Monsters and Universal Studio Monsters, is a media franchise comprising various horror film series distributed by Universal Pictures. It consists of different horror creature characters originating from various novels such as Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, The Phantom of the Opera, Count Dracula, Frankenstein's Monster, The Mummy, and The Invisible Man, as well as original characters, the Wolfman and the creature from the Black Lagoon. Which, you see, before I read anything, I didn't realise the Wolfman was an original idea. I didn't realise it did not come from a book. The same with Gillman, the creature from the Black Lagoon. So the original work started in 1913, and the first Universal Monsters movie was Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And the last one, I believe the last one was The Creature Walks Among Us, which was made in 1956. So that was the end of the era of the classic Universal Monsters. So after that, it kind of spanned different generations and remakes and, reimaginings of those particular characters. And there was many movies that were definitely inspired by them. Whether the horror, whether the action, whether the comedy, there are movies that have been inspired by the original works. And he has a couple of reminders of, a couple of those movies. The one I really enjoy, the other one's just okay. The first one I really enjoy is Monster Squad.
Yeah, the last big hurrah for the
classic
Monster.
Got nards.
And here is a movie that I think was more like, it was basically there to capture on the success of The Mummy from 1999. It is, of course, Van Helsing, which it does have the look and the feel of, the classic Universal Monsters, but obviously it's very CGI heavy. The acting isn't on par with the originals. And another movie, which we've already mentioned, this movie, The Wolfman, a great remake. But is a kind of modern remake, but, it's set in modern time. But I found this to be an enjoyable film. And it's The Hollow Man with Kevin Bacon.
That was an interesting one.
Yes.
It was intriguing.
Fun fact, Van Helsing, it came out my senior year in high school at the end of the year. I cut school to go see that in the theater on opening day.
Great.
Like, I always laugh at the Frankenstein's monster because it feels like he's like this muscular, like, opera singer. Like, he's so theatrical in it. And the way the film ended, it left open because they were hoping to build a franchise around it. And obviously, I think it was Dr. Jekyll and Hyde. That was like an animated prequel movie, I think they did.
Yeah.
Where I think he was in Paris and he was chasing the doctor. And I think he was played by Robert, what's his name? Him who plays Hagrid in the Harry Potter movies, Robert.
Coltrane.
Yeah, Robert. Yeah, I couldn't. Yeah, he's played by he voices the character. I don't know if he did any of the like actual CGI work, like the body work.
That animated movie wasn't bad, but there were some continuity issues with it because that monk is with him in that incident, and get in the movie when he gets partnered up with him, he's like, I've never left this place before.
That is very true. And there was rumours that because it was directed by Stephen Sommers, that the rumour was that they were going to link it up with The Mummy, which he did 2 years prior. And the Imhotep, the mummy from, of course, the Mummy movies, he was going to be the mummy in this universe. So somehow they would have had to find a way to bring him and Van Helsing together alongside probably Brandon Fraser's character. Which I could see, which in many ways I could see work.
You'd think on that note, if there was plans for a sequel to the Wolfman remake, where at the end when Hugo Weaving's character was bit, he was supposed to be as the Wolfman, not only fighting the curse, but trying to pursue Jack the Ripper again, who would have been revealed to be Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
That would have been interesting. But yeah, so it left open a lot of threads, and then obviously there's still other characters that they could have introduced, like they could have introduced with the Gill Man, they could have introduced with like a version of the Invisible Man, the Hunchback of Notre Dame, there's a number, or even the Bride of Frankenstein. I could definitely, the way that the Frankenstein monster is in there, and he's a very compassionate creature, you could definitely see him get lonely in the plot being where he seeks out somebody to make him a bride, but it goes horribly wrong. And of course, they would have always had the opportunity, how films go, to find a way to bring Dracula back. Even though he died in that movie, there could always have been an attempt to bring him back, or even bring a different version, or the son of Dracula or something. There would have been more than one vampire out there. Or even in many ways, they could have brought Nosferatu into this as a different character.
Well, I don't know if you can see it real good or not, but a while back I did a drawing of what it would be like if the Gill Man fought the Wolf Man.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's interesting. I can just make it out. Yeah.
I like the Gill Man. It's very Monster Squad inspired.
And as you know, there's been many, speaking of Gill Man, there's also been many properties that have kind of had a creature like Gill Man inspiration. The first one that stands out is in the Hellboy series. You've got Abe Sapien, who is named after Abraham Lincoln, who was found in a bunker in the giant, canister. He's an amazing character. Of course, that Oscar-winning film, The Shape of Water, which a lot of people thought it was inspired by the character from Hellboy, but it's actually inspired by things outside of that, and I think Universal Monsters. Did any of you see Shape of Water?
Yes, I've seen it. I enjoyed it. It was definitely unique. It's the best way to describe it. The Gill Man falls in love with the mute girl. It was very intriguing, to say the least.
Yes, and they're getting it on like Donkey Kong.
Well, so was she by herself, but that's
So outside of the original Universal Monster movies, out of all the films that's been inspired by them, which would you say is some of your favourites? Like I've mentioned, I do like I've talked about a couple of the remakes, but I did like this Hollow Man, which was inspired by the originals. So, can you think of movies that are inspired by them that you've enjoyed?
How about Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives? Tom McLaughlin has went on record saying that he took a lot of inspiration from the Universal monsters, from the opening cemetery scene to Jason being resurrected with lightning. And there's even a Karloff's General Store, and he said he shot the film in a way that he wanted it to feel like it could or should be in black and white.
Yeah.
And if you ever watch it again, set your TV to black and white. It's almost like watching a whole new movie.
I can confirm that. That's absolutely brilliant.
Yes. Well, how about you, Daniel?
Yeah, I think two movies that stand out to mind because they were inspired, at least from the costume making of Creature from the Black Lagoon, were the first Alien and Predator movie, respectively. Because when you think about it, they both had elements of inspiration from not just the Gilman per se, but also elements from the movie itself. Like, for instance, the way the alien moves in the original, and then you compare it to like the Gilman when he's walking on land, you can see some striking similarities in motion, that and also how little details like the scales and even the fleshy parts on the Gilman end up being woven into the organic parts of the biomechanical nature of the xenomorph. That and also the jungle aesthetic, which is Central America, inspired by the Amazon, in which Creature of the Black Lagoon takes place.
Even like in the original Predator, like when Arnold Schwarzenegger's character has to jump into the water and go in the mud to hide from the Predator, and then the Predator jumps in, and even the look of the Predator with the mangled jaw, even that reminds me could be connected to.
Yeah, it looks like something from a swampland.
Or what about, I'm just thinking of this now, because there are a few shots of the creature looking at her from underneath in the water. The first victim in Jaws.
Yes. And that was a quarter of a century before Jaws. So there were two classic movies that made audiences afraid to go in the water.
Yeah, that's very true. What about you, Jake? Any movies that you feel were inspired or remind you of Universal monsters?
Ooh, man, that is tough. I would probably say maybe good Lord, my brain just went completely dead. That's lovely. Well, I would probably say, without the Universal monsters, the classic, we wouldn't have Godzilla or Kong. Because, I mean, Godzilla's both aquatic and land, kind of like how the creature is, even though the creature can't be out for too long, considering it has the gills. And then you got Kong kind of representing the Wolfman, kind of, in a way. But other than that, the only other thing I could think of is maybe I got nothing. Oh man.
So like me personally, like Hollow Man I really enjoy. You've got other versions of like these characters, but in action and comedic ways. There is an action film that me and Anubis did, where you had the guy out of what's his name? The guy out of Blade Runner. Oh, what's his name? I'm gonna have to look it up. And he did a film where he was like a cop, and he was chasing a murderer, but the murderer turned out to be like some sort of alien. But the alien lived like in the sewers and like in the waters near the old train tracks.
Are you talking about Split Second?
Split Second, that's it. Now that creature in there is a mixture of a xenomorph and the creature from the Black Lagoon. And I'm sure I heard that that's where the inspiration came from for that particular monster.
Split Second.
Yes. Have you
It's
seen?
got Rooker, I think. I remember the last name.
Yeah.
Rooker. He was the guy that played in the original Hitcher.
Yes.
Rooker.
Welcome, Gojira.
Hello.
Hello there.
Hello. How are you doing?
I am well. How are y'all doing?
Great.
Very well. But in the middle of talking about, so I've asked this question to all the guests, so I'll ask you, what
Okay.
is it about Universal, the original Universal monsters, why you think they've remained like such classic characters and in the minds of the fans and new audiences?
Oh, well, they're the original archetypes, not only with literature but also in the film industry as well. And they're just the classic stories are just retold over and over again, and they just capture the hearts and the imaginations of everyone, and they're just there for us over and over again, and they're just reinterpreted over and over again, and they just be told in different ways all the time. You know, you've got Dracula, you know, he's been told for the past 100 years, also with Frankenstein and his story as well, not only with, you know, the monster with the doctor as well being told. You know, he's been done so many different times, not only with Mary Shelley's version, but also the Universal version, which does differ from the book. You know, the Wolfman. I've had so many different conversations with my father, you know, with the way how it was done, how it just captured his imagination as a child, how he saw how Lon Chaney was, you know, the makeup, how it was done, you know, the stop motion, not really stop motion, but they had the different transformation that was done there to like modern day, you know, with the Benicio del Toro film. I can't remember the name of the director for that film, but you know, that film just excellent. That's one of my favorite interpretations of the Wolfman was the Benicio del Toro film. And now we're having this new Netflix Frankenstein film come out soon. Now, also we have the Mummy films as well, another strong archetype as well. And we're going to have the Brendan Fraser films. They're just strong archetypes that we have in the film industry, and also with the books as well, just to be told over and over again. Just chef's kiss.
Can you remember the first Universal monster movie you ever seen?
I think it was Dracula, I believe.
Yeah, mine was the Wolfman.
Oh, very nice.
Yes. So we've also been talking about films that you know, were taking inspiration from the original Universal monsters. Is there any particular film in your mind that you can think of that you believe was a great inspiration from those films?
Indirectly, the slasher genre is inspired from it. I think that I'd say like Freddy Krueger is kind of inspired from Dracula. Like indirectly, I would say is
Psycho.
Yes, is not.
Yeah, Psycho has like this universal like horror feel.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look at the mummy's hand. Like so many of what would go on to be the trash slasher tropes are in that movie. That movie is really the grandfather of the slasher genre.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I think it was Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho that really elevated the slasher genre by creating through the character of Norman Bates, and by introducing this new way of interpreting the character in a psychological analysis, it really made the slasher villain ahead of its time, considering this was 1960 and not much, at least about the human mind, was understood by that point.
Yeah. Also, I think what they did that no one expected is that obviously you had the lead actress who was like on the title of the film. She gets killed straight away.
Janet Leigh is Marion Crane.
Janet Leigh, and no one expected that to happen. I thought with her being the lead actress or her name being on the marquee, she was going to be throughout the movie. And the fact that she was killed quite abruptly shocked the world, and I think that's what made it stand out. And speaking of Psycho, I recently have just finished the documentary, the 50th anniversary documentary on the National Geographic channel of Jaws. And Steven Spielberg even said, it was either him or somebody during the documentary said that, less is more. And by that, he was saying, how you don't see the shark, and it's not about seeing the shark, it's about that atmosphere and the feel that that scene brings to you. The opening credits where the woman's getting tugged around under the water by a shark. You know what's happening, but you can't see it. And it's because you can't see what's happening that it brings the sheer fear to you. Yes. And it was actually said in the documentary that that was also kind of inspired by what happened in Psycho. That actually said in the documentary, like when she gets killed, you don't see the murderer, you just see the shower curtain pulled to one side. I scream out and you just see like a knife, but you can't see the blood or the guts or the gore, but you know what's happening. And you feel every moment, you feel every, uncomfortableness of what's going on, but you don't have to see it.
That's right.
Like modern slasher films, like, for example, Final Destination, you've got to see how many heads pop off the body and the blood splatter. It's all about the emphasis of blood and gore. Where for me, I'm more scared about the feel rather than the visual.
Yeah.
So that's something I picked up very early on with Universal Monsters, is that they're not generally like horrifically scary, but it's the dread, it's the fear, it's the uncomfortableness, it's the unknown that you fear. And that's what I get from those movies.
Yeah. And to add
a lot
on,
of times the blood and gore just gets taken to the point where it's more comedic.
Yeah.
And to add on to the bit about Psycho you were talking about, Kevin, with relation to the slasher killer introduced in that movie, it does it in a way where by casting Anthony Perkins as Norman Bates, as the shy boy next door, you would not suspect him as this monster of sorts, which just makes it all the more terrifying because it's not a ghoul, it's not a spectre like Dracula, it's not an abomination like Frankenstein's monster. He's a real average Joe. He could be the person you go to work with. He could be the person who lives next door to you. He could be the person who passes you in the street. It could be anybody. And that's what makes it all more terrifying.
And that is what makes some of the world's greatest serial killers in history so frightening, because they were everyday people like Jeffrey Dahmer, Gacy, all of these. Aileen Rulon, who was the prostitute who killed all those men. She, was a down and out lady who had lots of mental issues and blah, 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 blah. But looking at this little petite lady, you would not think she had the ability to do what she did. And that for me is the most scary thing. It just shows that anybody could change, or anybody has a hidden demon within inside them.
Yeah.
Or if you've watched Dexter, the television series, everyone has a dark passenger.
Oh, yeah.
Which is an amazing show if you've seen it. But speaking of Universal Monsters, since we've talked about the past, let's talk about this that never happened.
Oh boy.
Dark Universe.
I got a lot to say about this.
It had such promise, but it was just poorly mishandled.
Indeed.
Yes.
They tried to do too much at once.
Mhm.
So these are our universal monsters of what we could have had, what could have been. I don't mind the cast. I think the cast is fine. I love Dracula Untold. That for a long time we didn't know if it was going to be the beginning of a new, franchise or whatever. And then it slowly was brought upon with that. That was the first chapter of the Dark Universe, which the reason they couldn't change, they wanted the originally called the Monsterverse, but of course we know why they can't. Because unfortunately, Legendary got in there first. They got the sucker out of it, which in many ways I agree with and disagree with, because since we have had the Monsterverse, they don't actually they don't actually call them monsters. Like back in Toho, the monsters, the kaiju, they call them the Titans. So the Titanverse, for me, would have been, if that's the road we were going to go down, they should have named it that. But hey-ho, we got what we got. Now, with Universal, they call it the Dark Universe. Now, for me personally, Dracula Untold was a great movie. I really enjoyed that.
I second that.
I third that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And, so we all agree with it. And then we got The Mummy.
Oh,
Right, Tom Cruise. I don't think he was the right casting choice, if I'm being honest. I mean, not to mention that, because he pretty much took control of the creative decision. If you look at the behind the scenes, and while I love the fact they got Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde in there, and all these little Easter eggs like the Gillman's arm and the glass jar and the vampire skull, it feels like there's too much going on trying to set up for another 2 movies to a point where it just couldn't live up to what it was trying to build upon.
So remind me on, Daniel, you had obviously Tom Cruise was going to be, what was he going to be? Was he going to be the Mummy as well?
Yeah, after he
Sophia was going to
defeated,
be, Sophia was the Mummy.
yeah, after he defeated her, he basically took on the essence of the Mummy, becoming the Mummy's reincarnate. But then he, through the power of good, confined the spirit to the afterlife, if I remember correctly. So now he's wandering through eternity in the deserts of Egypt, whereas the original Mummy's corpse is put back in its casket and buried in Mercury. Meanwhile, there's something, a side plot going on with Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde that was meant to lead somewhere, but I think
was Russell Crowe, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's Russell Crowe.
Charles Dance, who was the elder vampire in
He
Dracula.
was great in that role.
Yeah, I know we see him. I know we see him in a post-credit scene in, I think it's Dracula Untold. But I heard he was going to also have I heard he was going to be like the big bad. He was going to like the Thanos somehow.
Let the games begin.
Yeah, precisely. Let the games begin. And then obviously, I think Johnny Depp was going to be the Invisible Man.
Yeah.
And who else? And I think him sitting down, he was going to be Frankenstein's monster.
Wait, there wasn't going to be a Van Helsing in this universe, was there?
No. Not that to my knowledge, but then of course you had the guy who played Dracula in the first one. He would have probably come back as Dracula, and the guy out of No Country for Old Men, he was going to play Frankenstein.
Wait, you mean the villain in No Country for Old Men?
Yes, he was also in the last Pirates of the Caribbean movie. He also was in Skyfall, James Bond Skyfall. He played the villain in that.
Oh yeah, I know who you mean.
Yeah, he was going to be Frankenstein's monster.
Excellent actor.
Brilliant. He's a really talented actor. But for me, when I look at the Mummy, it was like it had elements of Universal monsters, but then, like you said with Tom Cruise, he wanted to have big spectacle and an action sequence, and it was like he was trying to combine Universal monsters with Mission Impossible. He was trying to cross them over so you could have like these big monster movies with big spectacle and fight sequences.
His ego ran away.
Yeah, and for me, it just didn't work.
No.
I think if they allowed the creative process to go forward, we could have had a really strong universe to compete against Marvel. The only thing, that for me, even though it's not on the level of Marvel, but it's still going strong, is the Monsterverse.
But at least out of that Mummy movie, we did get a pretty good game. The Mummy Remastered.
Yes.
Yeah. And there's something I'd like to add on about the whole cinematic universe thing. I think because of Disney and Marvel's The Avengers, everyone just completely forgot that the cinematic universe was done before, once by Universal with the classic monsters, but then with Toho with their science fiction and kaiju movies. But I think that's because when everyone thinks cinematic universes, they by default think the Marvel franchise or the Monsterverse. They think it's all about the spectacle and the explosions and the action. That is absolutely the antithesis of the Dark Universe. It wasn't about the big spectacle. It wasn't about the explosion. It was about the mythos. It was about the Gothica of the aesthetics. It was about the darkness and the conflict of allure and fear in each of these monster characters that keeps them grounded, but at the same time makes them seem otherworldly to us.
I feel as if they kept going and it was successful, they would have turned them from being what you've mentioned to try to make them like the superhero versions of the characters that we knew and loved growing up.
And I would fail if they did that.
Because I think in the studio executive, he goes, "Oh, we could make a universe out of this. Or if we can cross these characters over, think of the money, And they want to go from A to B within straight away. Where Marvel, because it was the first of its time in a modern age of cinema, because like you say, Universal did it way back in the 1930s. Obviously, Toho did it in the 1950s. Since them two who did that, there's been no other shared universes that anyone even attempted since. So because of that, Marvel have free range. The creative mind like Kevin Feige, he said, I could do this, but we need to take our time with it because we don't know if it works. If Iron Man flops, we'll just scrap it. We'll just do solo movies or whatever. But because Iron Man did well, then obviously Thor did well, and then, Captain America, it led to Avengers. And when the first Avengers film happened, people thought, right, this could work. And then they then went ahead and created it up to Endgame, and then it's went to shit ever since. Because I think once you got to Endgame and the 10-year plan ended, the studio executives like, we need another Endgame. We need another, Infinity War. Let's get the A to B. Let's happen fast. Let's get it faster. Introduce more characters. Introduce more explosion spectacle. And they totally forgot the whole story planning element to make it get to that point.
It feels almost like Endgame was meant to be just that, but the decision to continue was so hasty they didn't have time to think it through.
They ignored their own memo.
Yeah, I know so many people that can watch the first 10 movies or the first lot of movies from Iron Man up to Endgame and then just don't watch any of the others, because for them that is the pinnacle of Marvel. And they're never going to get to that point again because, like I say, because they got so big so fast, but it was great creative storytelling and creativeness. Instead of doing that again and thinking, right, let's do what we've done. Let's follow the formula. Let's build it up slowly, brick by brick. They haven't done that. They basically went, right, we need to make it faster and work faster to make the money, to get the merchandise. Where if they'd done it what they had done previously, I guarantee you they would still be getting talked about now.
Yeah.
Where now people are like, there's a lot of superhero fatigue. Like,
Mhm.
I honestly believe because of superhero fatigue, even though it's doing well at the box office, I also believe Superman's not the biggest hit as what they were expecting it to be. I think they were hoping it to be a $1 billion hit. Where
Yeah.
Jurassic World Rebirth, which me and Jedi Granville will be doing a review on live this Friday. Even that's made more money. It's made $500 million already at the box office within 2 weeks. Because I think, unlike them releasing a Jurassic World Park movie every year, or having a 10-year plan where they're going to release them one by one every year, you can pace them out because there's only so much you can do with the dinosaurs. But when you're building a shared universe of multiple characters and having multiple stories and multiple films that are meant to join together, it's very difficult to do.
Yeah. I think one thing that not everyone has noticed is just how each cinematic universe came together in the first place. If you look at Disney and Marvel, it's a very corporate structure. They were like, okay, we have this pre-planned. Iron Man was successful, then second Iron Man was successful, Hulk was successful, Thor was successful. Let's put them all together into a movie. If you look back at the Universal monsters, they didn't actually intend to bring them all together into a universe anyway. It happened organically.
Yep.
It happened because Frankenstein, that's one of the biggest movies from the Universal classics with Dracula. The Wolfman from 1941, that was a smash hit as well. And then someone decided, wait a minute, we have two classics here, just as a what if, as a little experiment, we put them together. What's going to happen? Frankenstein meets the Wolfman happened. And because that was successful, it wasn't a corporate strategy behind it. It was like, okay, this is a formula that's working. Let's tweak it only just a little bit. So there's characters like Dracula, they have cameos on the side, but those cameos, they naturally led into a dead end, because in the movie that came after Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, where Dracula is temporarily revived only to be put back into his grave at the end, that is a natural one and done cameo, because it worked, because it didn't put too much of Dracula in a movie that he wasn't meant to be in the first place. Second, it renewed interest in him a decade after his debut. And because of that, they said, right, these elements worked, but let's separate this from the crossover, do a reintroduction, and then naturally weave it into the crossover that we're doing now. That is how it works. That is how the Toho's science fiction universe works, because everything organically stood as a standalone. It wasn't until
Godzilla, Mothra, Rodan, and then when they created Ghidorah the three-headed monster, they thought, well, in my opinion, they could have, because he's named Ghidorah the three-headed monster and is a separate movie, they could have just done a separate movie without them three in it. But because they had them three movies, separate movies, and they had this new character they were introducing, who was this big three-headed space dragon, they thought, well, we need him to fight something. Who better than the three already established characters? Let's test it. Let's test it and see if it works. And if it does, we could, maybe build on it. And that's exactly what happened. You had them three.
Yeah.
And then, Godzilla had his own movies going forward. You had another team-up movie, which was Rodan and Godzilla and Invasion of the Astro Monsters.
That's right.
And then after that, like you see, you also had the Kong movie, Godzilla versus Kong, King Kong. And then originally it was meant to be King Kong in Ebera, of the Deep, the Ebera movie. But because Universal took the rights back, they had to replace the Kong character with Godzilla. And you
Yeah.
can kind of see that in the movie because of that scene where they revive Godzilla who's slumbering in the cave in the mountain and they use electricity. Well, that's basically what they did with Kong.
Yeah. That's also what they did
So,
with Frankenstein.
Godzilla versus King Kong was originally supposed to be King Kong and Frankenstein.
Yep.
Mhm.
yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
But
That's a very long and complicated history in of itself, that one. But
Yeah.
yeah, it worked. And the magnum opus of that was ultimately Destroy All Monsters.
yes, that was their end game.
Yes.
And I'm assuming that was meant to be the end because King Ghidorah actually gets killed in the final movie. But then,
Yep.
as you're going to remember, a couple of movies later, King Ghidorah's still alive. But I heard, if you want to be technical, Godzilla vs. Gigan is a prequel to Godzilla Destroy All Monsters. Destroy All
Yeah.
Monsters, because Destroy All Monsters is set in 1999 or something, and
That's right.
Godzilla versus Gigan is set a couple of years prior to them events.
Yeah. So,
That's right.
bar Destroy All Monsters, all of the Showa movies are set in present day, 1954 to 75. It's only the Destroy All Monsters that's set in 1999 outside of the year group in which the movies were made.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So really, and even Godzilla versus Mecha Godzilla and Terra Mecha Godzilla, they could have all been considered prequels to Destroy All Monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So see, but looking back, they would have never thought of that in their heads. Then it just organically happened.
That's right.
So yes, so that's the great thing about shared universes. If it's done right organically, or done in a way, where they follow the law and the material, it can work.
Mm.
So we'll start with Anthony Jordan, and then you can all go. What would you like to be the future of Universal Monsters?
Honestly,
Like, where would you like to go next? Because obviously the thingy universe has ended. The Dark Universe is 2 films in, it's been scrapped. There's been other reincarnations of the same characters. Like we've had a third horrendous Wolfman movie, which I watched it. It's a modern take on it. I kind of understood what they were doing with it, but it was shit in my opinion. They're doing another Mummy movie. Like you say, Guillermo del Toro's doing a new Frankenstein. And even in Paris, France, because I put the trailer in the group chat, there's a French version of Bram Stoker's Dracula. And then we also had, of course, it's not tied with Universal Monsters, we had Nosferatu.
Yeah.
So,
And we also had The Last Voyage of the Demeter come out a few years ago, which is actually a chapter of Bram Stoker's Dracula as well.
yes, which is such an underrated movie that gets no hype or praise.
It's actually starting to get more appreciation now.
Thank fuck for that. It's about time. What really boiled my piss is I had looked forward all year for that movie to be released in theatres here in the UK. Even Whitby, which is near me, which is where the boat pulls in, or even starting to hate the movie and start to advertise it. But then the distributor of the UK for the movie went bankrupt. So because of that, it didn't get released in theatres yet. And then it was nearly a full year. And then they just dumped it on Amazon Prime with no promotion, no hype. And then it was released on physical media. And I was thinking, well, how, and it's a movie that was a pretty penny to make. And think because it wasn't given and I think that's another thing with films. If they're not given the correct promotion or given enough hype or enough, given enough opportunity to set in the minds of audiences, they go nowhere. And I feel that's what happened with the Last Voyage of the Demeter. I think was badly promoted.
Remember when I got the Blu-ray, the first thing I actually did was send you the review, the digital code because I'm like, I got the physical media, and I know Kevin wants to see this. So,
Well, I had to watch it at my brother's because my brother has a VPN, and he it wasn't released over here on Amazon, but it was released on Amazon in the US. So my brother had to go set up his VPN and then log into Amazon, but the US version, and purchase it. There, and we watched it on his big. We've got a big projector screen, so we just plugged it. So we plugged the television in on a dark night near Halloween, and that's how I watched it. So, thoughts on what's next? I'm just
think
getting to the.
honestly, just go back to the basics, make it horror again, and just take your time and maybe do an all-star director approach where you take various directors, whether they're known for horror or just something creepier in general, and say, like, okay, for example, we mentioned like Peter Jackson. Okay, Peter Jackson, we want you to make a Wolfman film. Just take your time, write a good script, make the movie. They mentioned Guillermo del Toro. You do Frankenstein. What would throw another good director to pick? Like, pick another good one, and you do Dracula, and just let the stories form organically. And maybe after a couple succeed, then if you want to tie them together, you can do it. Like, imagine a run of like 3 or 4 of them, no hint they're tied together. Then do a Wolfman, and at the end of it have Larry Talbot still alive, and someone come up to him. I know who you are, Mr. Talbot, and I know what you are, and there may be a way I can help you control it. And Talbot asks him his name, and he just says Dr. Van Helsing.
Oh.
That would be interesting.
Is the screen crashed, or you all went quiet?
No, I'm just listening.
No, we were finishing listening to Anthony.
Oh, cool. What's your opinion, J. Colin, or what you would like to see next from Universal Studios in terms of the monsters?
I would love for them, because we've seen Dracula, we've seen Frankenstein, we've seen The Mummy. We know they did a remake of Invisible Man with the lady and the special suit, but I would love somebody to redo, or not redo, but kind of bring the creature from the Black Lagoon
Yes.
into a modern time thing. Because the last time we saw a version of the creature from Black Lagoon was in Monster Squad, where it was like got the teeth and all that, a much more vicious looking one. But other than that, I mean, I would love either Steven Spielberg, Peter Jackson.
Yeah, like
Some,
I like
some,
what. I like what Peter Jackson did with King Kong because he kept it. He basically just remade the original but modernized it with new special effects and added the spider pit sequence. So I would like somebody, like you say, have a shot at the creature from the Black Lagoon, but what I want them to do is I want them to do what they did with the Wolfman with Anthony Hopkins, and I want it to be like set in the same time period, set in the same location, and just make a modernized version with modern technology and effects, but keep it within the confines of the original.
oh yeah, I agree. And you know what? Even Gareth Edwards. I mean, I would love to see Gareth Edwards do it, because how he did Godzilla 2014 and how he built that up. I mean, I think if I would have to say a good director for building up, I mean, all the directors that we've said are good, but I think Gareth Edwards might be a good choice to do a creature from the Black Lagoon.
Since
Brian-
you mentioned the Gilman, to piggyback on what I said, like with the All-Star Director comment, have Michael Dougherty do Gilman.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh yes, definitely. Or even the director who directed the last Voyage of the Demeter. I forgot who directed that. I think he would be a fine choice. And the one that I think would really bring a different take on it, thanks to the success of Sinners, is Ryan Coogler. I think what he done with the Creed movies and what he did with Sinners, he was able to tell an amazing story and also bring this amazing visual, aspect to it with his cinematography. So I definitely think he would be a great choice to do Creature from the Black Lagoon, or even, it's probably not going to happen, but Robert Eggers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, bringing Robert Eggers in to do a version of the Creature of the Black Lagoon with his styling would be phenomenal.
I agree.
A werewolf movie.
But rumor has it, he's going to be doing his version of the A Christmas Carol with Scrooge and all that, and he wants William Dafoe to play Ebenezer Scrooge, which is perfect.
That would be
casting.
good.
Yes,
Oh.
and he himself is doing his own German version of Wolfman. He's doing werewolf, which is the way it's spelled. It's spelled in German, werewolf. So he's staying within the world of horror after doing Nosferatu and doing his version of a Wolfman movie or a werewolf film.
I'm intrigued with that one, but the one thing that concerns me, he wants the whole script to be in Old English. And depending upon it's just Old English is a very hard thing to have pleasant to the ear long term.
Well, he should come to England. We can't even understand each other.
Yeah.
He's from the south, I'm from the north. And if I
Yeah.
say something to him like very blunt Geordie, because I'm a Geordie, that's what I'm called. And the reason I'm called a Geordie is because back when there was the war with Scotland and the England at the time, it was King George, and we had the last castle defending England against the Scots. And King George used to go up and visit up at the castle, our people of Newcastle. And that's another reason my town's called Newcastle, because it was the last castle built, the new castle, hence the name of the town. And we were called Geordie boys. King George, we are George's boys, his men. So because we were called George's boys, our nickname is Geordies.
Oh,
That's right.
That's why we're called Geordies, because we're Geordie's boys, Geordie's men, his last line of defence in the new castle against the Scots. So that's why I'm from Newcastle, and that's why I'm Geordie. That's why I'm a Geordie. And he's from Cambridge, and he's a posh bastard, aren't you, Daniel?
Absolutely, my good man. Not Cambridge, but close. Very
Yes.
close.
Yes. So there's like a south and north divide.
Yeah.
Because
It's like it's like how accents varies between different states in the US. Some of them easy to understand. Some people you don't know what the hell their neighbor is saying.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So that's like the south and the north of England.
Mhm.
But yes.
But
One
you
more. Oh, no, carry on.
the accent thing, like compare like a northern where I'm from accent to a Maine accent.
Oh
Like,
boy.
There's going to be a lot of, what did you just say? Like, I understand the people down south better than I understand you.
Well, if you like, I'm Geordie, but I'm not broad Geordie. Now, my dad and my grandfather are broad Geordie, and even I can't understand my grandfather sometimes because he talks that fast in broad Geordie. I've got to ask him to repeat himself. And he's like, "What you talking about, like?" And I'm like, I said, "Can you speak so I can understand?" He's like, "Fuck off, man."
One time I was with a friend and he passed away since the side of the road. And this friend, he was a career mechanic, 35 years working at one place. He pulls over, asks this guy, "You having car trouble?" And the guy, I swear, he talks just like Boonhauer from King of the Hill. We're like, "Slow down. What did you say?" Look, speak.
Hey, go dang on down there. There's dang on car there doing the thing all day there. All that girl there, all there.
After it goes like, well, good luck.
in many ways, though, to get back on track, we might not be having the universal monsters in, like, you know, in the world of cinema right now, not in the way we probably would like, but they are still in many ways you know, still with us. And I think what generally is going to bring a buzz and interest in people wanting to bring these versions back to the screen is this.
Yep.
Universal's Epic Universe. Now, I watched somebody on YouTube go inside and like video the entire ride, because it looks absolutely crazy. But it looks like if they had brought that to the screen as it is in the ride, I generally think we would be into a winner with this ride. It's cost multi-millions to make, but it is full of amazing animatronics.
Yeah.
So
Whoa.
each one of these characters is an animatronic. It's actually a physical working animatronic on the ride. And
I am
there's your
so happy that they didn't ruin the Gillman design.
Why
Yeah.
does that Wolfman look better than the Wolfman in the recent one they released?
because
wait.
the recent one is complete fucking garbage.
But they wanted to piss you off, Anthony. That's why.
It's Blumhouse. That's all they do. They piss people off.
And even look at Dracula there. He looks just frightening.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole plot is about Dracula, I believe, who's captured Frankenstein's monster and he's trying to open portals to destroy the world. And it's got Dr. Van Helsing's daughter who's trying to stop it all. She's your female protagonist who, as you go through the raid, she's at the beginning and she tells the story of where it leads, and then you enter the raid and then you see the events transpire. But I watched the video of somebody, you know, go through the raid, and I was completely hooked. And I was like, why the fuck is this not a movie?
Because
No, carry on, Anthony.
I was saying because they're stupid. That's why.
Yep.
And it's like Van Hel. It definitely feels like it's more like, you know, it feels like it was definitely inspired by the Hugh Jackman Van Helsing in some of the plot elements of the raid. Like you see the electricity, you see Frankenstein, you see Dracula's trying to like raise the more vampires to go through these portals, and it was just an amazing raid to watch. And the whole set where it's located in the Epic Universe, as you walk through the doors, it looks like a giant castle and it looks like Dracula's fortress, and you've got people walking around as the characters and all of that jazz. And this is obviously their latest. It was released, I think, at the beginning of the year, had its grand opening, and apparently it's done really well. So the fact that the people at Universal have went back in time to create a modernized raid, that's really, if it works out, it's really gonna the popularity once again of these particular characters. And if that happens, I'm hoping we'll get another attempt at like a Universal Studios shared universe, but done right.
Mm-hmm. Now, about the plot line of Dracula using portals, if you remember a couple of years back, Lego did a series called Monster Fighters, which was inspired by the Universal monsters, although they couldn't actually use them because of legal reasons.
Mhm.
But the sets that they built for the Lego line, they sound very similar to this this Universal epic universe. Like, for instance, Dracula's castle. It has all of these crystals, like each crystal symbolizing different monsters, like the bat crystal for Dracula, the lightning crystal for Frankenstein, the seaweed crystal for the gill man, and the wolf crystal for the wolfman, and all that. I think that was a really interesting idea, to have that plot device intertwine all of these monsters together. I think that, going on to the question that you asked earlier, how would we like to see the monsters brought back if there would be another universe? My way of going about it would be this, while taking on points from, like what Anthony said, bringing on directors and filmmakers who understand and care enough to get the source material and do it right.
But I also think what they should do is bring the people in who's worked on this attraction.
Yes.
To get like the sets and to get the emphasis, because they've studied the old films and actually made it, as you can see. And
Yeah.
it looks absolutely amazing. Carry on, Daniel.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And the other thing that I do is that, aesthetic wise, I would just say keep it gothic, because if you try and do a modern Dracula or a modern Frankenstein and it doesn't have any of those elements, it just doesn't work, because the feeling, the authenticity, it's not there. And if it's not there, it just brings down the whole thing. But
Yeah.
here is how I would go about it. You start off with Dracula first, then you do Frankenstein, then you do, say, the Mummy, because you want to do them in the order of the year they were introduced in back in the day. And you don't throw in all of these little elements during the movie. You do it as like a post-credit scene, or like the fast scene just before the end credits, looping them all together. So you just have standalone movies all concurrently. And when it comes up to the last one, this would be Creature from the Black Lagoon. Afterwards, you would have the magnum opus, which is, for example, this is just thinking off the top of my head, think Monster Squad, but done in, say, a 60s style, where it's not carefree kids who are fans of monsters, but this is a very gritty, down-to-earth, uncertain reality, where this gothic past is slowly creeping back into a otherwise, guess you can say, contemporary, modern 1960s, and it's just undoing everything that's been done. But at the same time, these dark forces, these macabre things, they're coming back, and they're as more terrifying, they're as more scary and more magnificent than ever. Then you would have, like, for instance, the Van Helsing bloodline being one of the very few guardians, but they, for instance, if you look at Dracula 72,
like what I said, it's like what you
Van Helsing bloodline in that story.
But it's like what I said in the game. In this attraction, it's Van Helsing's daughter who's the lead protagonist. But like you say, the movies themselves, we don't know what's going to happen. We would like them to finally build. But here's another thing that I found very interesting that I've just recently read. And what got my interest, and it's not about movies, but it's another attraction. So Universal Horror Unleashed is an upcoming 110,000 square foot, 2.5 acre self-guided walkthrough haunted attraction under construction at Area 15. Area 15, not 51. An entertainment complex located in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Nice. I love Vegas.
announced in January 2023. But this is where I got excited. Because where am I going? I know I'm hoping Anthony Jordan might join me, but I don't know if he will. And I'm hoping you join us, Daniel Miller. But as you know, we are heading to Chicago next year for G-Fest. So this is what got me excited. It is also announced there will be a second location of a second horror-themed experience from Universal Destinations and Experiences after Halloween Horror Nights. The attraction is set to open on August the 14th, 2025. A second location is going to be built in Chicago.
Oh.
And is set to open in 2027.
Ooh.
Ooh.
So the whole attraction, so the history of it's a theme park ride at Universal Studio that features the Universal monsters. But it's showcased every year at Universal Studios on Halloween Horror Nights, which is their Halloween month theme. And then it gets shut down for the following year. But the Universal Monster one's always very popular. It's like one of the popular ones because obviously it's got the imaginations of fans old and new. So Universal finally made the decision, you know, it's so popular, we need to make a full-on attraction about Universal Monsters. Hence why Epic Universe was made.
Yeah.
But now they want to expand it on its popularity because it's done so well. They're now expanding it and bringing this Universal Horror Unleashed to Las Vegas, and then they're opening a third location in Chicago in 2027.
Yeah. Speaking of theme parks, if Universal Bedfordshire does well, they might bring it to that place as well.
Yeah, because yes, for those that do not know, in the UK we have like our own theme parks. We don't like have any of the bigger ones like Disney World or anything. We've got Lightwater Valley, Flamingo Land, we've got Thor Park, we've got
the Alton Towers.
Alton Towers. They are our four big UK based, and Blackpool Pleasure Beach.
Yep.
They are our 4 or 5 main UK theme parks, which have got nothing to do with anything outside of that. The only one that you probably would remember is Legoland. We had a Legoland built here in the UK, but everybody's always wanted like a Disneyland UK or a Universal Studios in the UK. But I think the reason what put them off is the weather. But now Universal have agreed to opening a theme park. It's already been, greenlit. It's already deep in massive development. So that's probably going to be up and open in the next 3 or 4 years. Or could take longer. But like you say, Daniel, if the other locations do well, we may get a Universal Monsters Horror Unleashed. So all that's been revealed about these 2 attractions outside of the Epic Universe, which is separate, is it's going to involve the Universal Monsters.
But yet they can't get the movies off the ground.
They can't get the fucking movies off the motherfucking ground.
Yeah. And this is
the theme parks sorted out and look fucking amazing.
And this is where, for the movies, I am generally concerned because the Creature from the Black Lagoon, one of my favorites of the Universal lot, he hasn't had a movie since 1956's The Creature Walks Among Us. That's excluding his return in the Monster Squad. If they were to reboot the Gilman,
Shape of Water could be classed as a Creature from the Black Lagoon type movie. It's not officially. It's not officially called Creature from the Black Lagoon, but it's very much inspired by it.
Yeah.
Except he's not a fucking trying to kill you. He actually falls in love with the girl. Yeah. And the girl falls in love with him.
That's right. Technically, you're correct about it being classed as an unofficial remake, Kevin, technically you're right. If they actually do a proper remake, but they give it to someone like Blumhouse or David Gordon Green, and they just completely ruin it, then I mean, for fuck's sake, if that just keeps on happening every time a classic monster is being brought back to the silver screen, and give it off to some third party studio who's mishandled things like Halloween, The Exorcist, and The Wolfman,
Uh,
then there's just no point, and that's
Yeah.
very disheartening, really.
They might be getting a crack at Jason.
Oh,
I just hope they don't get the rights to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because I know the rights have come up for that as well.
It looks like Jordan Peele's going to get that, but it's rumored at Comic-Con that Blumhouse is going to be part of the Jason universe panel.
no, A24 or someone else, please.
The
No more
only-
Blumhouse.
The only thing that could come out of them getting the rights to Jason is you would probably finally get a Jason versus Michael Myers movie.
Well, they don't have
the rights
anymore.
What, Michael Myers to
The
Halloween?
rights expired after the third movie.
Oh, thank fuck for that. But looking at the attractions of the Universal Horror Unleashed, each park, it's going to have the Exorcist Zone, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Zone, but the biggest area is dedicated to Universal Monsters. So apparently there's 2 open spots that every year will be given annually to a new or a well-known horror franchise, but it'll just be used for that year. So, for example, if Universal had It and a new It movie was coming, for example, they would make a theme like raid about It for that year, and then it would leave for the next year for, say, a new Freddy movie, whatever it would be. Where the Universal part of the Horror Unleashed, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre one, and apparently the Exorcist one's going to be permanent. So if it's Universal, you know what I would like to see in the UK? A Jaws themed ride.
Yes, that ride was really, it was the pinnacle of Universal Hollywood's ride studios for Jaws.
Yeah, they got rid of it though, didn't they?
In favor of Diagon Alley.
Yeah, and apparently they moved. Yeah, but they moved. I do know this. They moved the ride from Universal in the US. It's in Japan.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, for the Harry Potter attraction, they also tore down the studio where Universal's Phantom of the Opera was filmed.
I hate Harry Potter.
No,
I don't see the thrill of. I'm British and I don't like fucking Harry Potter.
no, look.
Give me Lord of the Rings every day.
No, I've only just started rewatching it from a filmmaking perspective. I'm not that big of a Potter fan myself, but knowing that they've pretty much got rid of 2 jewels of Universal's history for a property Universal doesn't even own, it's disappointing and baffling.
Because money talks, Daniel Miller. Money talks and bullshit walks.
Yeah.
It's like the universe. Who was it that's built the How to Train Your Dragon attraction? Because that's opening soon, and apparently they've got what is it? They've got like proper mechanical dragons that fly.
Oh, nice.
So that's coming as well. The universe, the How to Train Your Dragon attraction.
And speaking of attractions, there is one, and this is coming back from the 90s. I would love to see brought back. It was the attraction about the movies of Alfred Hitchcock, because in one of the lots at Universal, if it was Hollywood or Orlando, one of the two, they had inside a small replica build of the Bates house and the motel, where they actually showed the camera setups for the shower scene, and adjacent to that they had all of these reconstructed sets from things like Vertigo, Rear Window, The Man Who Knew Too Much, all of these things with little stands and tidbits of information. And what's more, they were interactive as well. So you could actually recreate for yourself the moments from those Hitchcock movies, which
When
I
I
think
was
they
a-
could benefit from greatly if they brought them back.
Yeah, definitely. When I was in San Diego, the only thing I didn't get to do was to go to the Comic Con museum, which has like lots of film memorabilia, like costumes and suits, which, you know, that's there permanently now because, as you know, Comic Con's such a big thing in San Diego. It's actually this weekend. There's going to be a Toho panel talking about the 70 years of Godzilla there. First time Toho has had a panel at Comic Con, which is exciting. Which is exciting, and obviously thanks to Godzilla -1, all eyes are on Toho right now. But I believe because you've got a Comic Con museum that has all suits, like I know they've got all the Batman costumes from previous film. They had Uma Thurman's Poison Ivy costume. They've got loads of different suits, vehicles, whatever, within the confines of this museum. But the queue, it was, see, when we in Sci-Fi Century and Jedi Granville went, it was when it was free to get in, because one day a week they make it free, and the queue was like 3 hours long because everyone knew it was free and they didn't have to pay this expense to get in, so it was free. So we didn't go, and we had other things planned the other days. But anyway, my opinion is, with the building these if they're going to build these themed places called Universal Horror Unleashed, why can't they build in the confines of the attraction a museum dedicated to horror?
Yeah.
The history of horror.
Spend the money and like properly recreate the stuff we seen in the film.
Or like you say, it's to have like in these unlocked, like if there's these plots that aren't being used, build a plot that's like a walk-in set of different horror movies. So like you've mentioned, you could have the house from Psycho in the corner. You could have like what looks like a walkway, which is the bridge from Amity featuring Jaws. You know, have built real set replicas where people can walk in and have the photos taken and make them feel as if they're a part of the movie.
Yeah. And one set that you could actually include is the town street from Frankenstein, where in the climax of the movie, the angry mob with pitchforks and torches marches through the streets, tracking the monster down to the windmill.
You know what they should do, like make the museum, but like take notes. I know this sounds funny, but Professor, do you remember from the Friday the 13th game, The Virtual Cabin?
Yes.
How it was basically an interactive museum. Like, even though that's just a game, take a note and look how that made it look like a cabin and stuff, and just have the museum that looks like it's the set from one of these Universal movies.
You could actually have like a field with trees and that, and build like old, what you call
old
a gypsy, or build like a thing, and it's got old gypsy horse and cart, and make it the gypsy site from the Wolfman.
Yeah, and adjacent to that, have an artificial lake for the Gillman.
Yeah, but you never know what they're going to do with this Universal Horror Unleashed. But I don't think we'll talk much more about Universal Monsters.
Actually, something kind of interesting about the original Wolfman that suggests there might be some allegory in the film.
All right.
It should be noted the writer was European and Jewish, and this film came out in 1941. The werewolf, his victims are marked with a star on them. And what was going on in Germany in 1940?
Yeah. Wow. That's interesting. Very interesting. But anyway, my friends, I think we've talked all about what we can with Universal Monsters. We've talked about the love of the films, the history of the films, what they mean to it, where we'd like to see it go in the future, hopefully. But who's just farted?
Uh,
That
Wasn't
sounded
me.
like a fart.
uh,
It didn't hear it. I heard it. It was like a
I
noise.
heard it too.
I heard it too.
Jake.
Uh,
To see the ones who are silent did it.
Wasn't me.
But anyway, my friends, what a way to end the stream, looking out for who had the fart.
A mystery which you may never know the answer to.
Precisely. Anyway, my friends, this has been a fun talk. I've enjoyed every moment. Like I say, there'll be more Let's Talk Lives in the future. This is simply where we sit down, we talk about the subject, and the good, the bad, the ugly, what we expect, all of that jazz. And it's been fun talking about Universal Monsters. Mr. Jake Hall, you got anything coming up in your life? Because I know you don't really run a channel, but you've got anything that you're looking forward to?
Well, tomorrow I am going to be going out and about. I'm going to be getting a couple of comics. I'm getting the new issue for Mothra, Queen of the Monsters. I got 2 new books that are going to be arriving tomorrow, hopefully. Godzilla 70th anniversary and another one that's Kaiju Unleash, I think is what it's called. But,
I've seen that one. That's like more of a monster-based book, I think.
No, it's got all the monsters like Gamera, Godzilla. It's a whole thing dealing with monsters. Other than that, just whatever I ordered come in. Next month, I'll get the latest Ultraman, Ultraman Decker. So.
Oh, cool.
Oh, and I'm also going to go see I Know What You Did Last Summer tomorrow.
All right, let me know. Let us guess. A+ or A-.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't watched it yet because I'm going to see it tomorrow because it comes out technically Friday, but I'm going to be seeing it tomorrow. They got an early showing, so. But I'll let y'all know how I liked it.
Anthony Jordan, what's coming up on your channel?
Well, as of right now, continuing my Gundam Wing retrospective, and here shortly I'm going to be gearing up for Montober. I have no clue what movies I'm going to review this year, but I'm getting ready.
I've already started editing my new intro for my next month-long event.
Cool.
Right, Mr. Gojira 851, anything coming to your channel?
I'm still waiting for the things that I pre-bought to come in. I have no idea where they are, so still waiting for those to come in. Going back to work on Saturday after my vacation's over, so just waiting patiently for that. So nothing really planned for now.
Mr. Daniel Miller.
Nothing planned for release as of this moment in time, but I have started to get back into my creative writing again, and with the spooky season coming up much quicker than anticipated, I do plan on having something very special prepared for then.
Right. Looking forward to that. And you should record it with your voice and put the imagery and make a video of it.
Oh, I definitely will.
Oh, very good. Very good. As for me, on the entertainment headquarters, later today, hopefully when I get the fucking thing edited, I will be putting up my Superman 2025 review. Friday, I have my live with Mr. Jedi Granville Jurassic World Rebirth review. Mixed feelings there, and you'll just have to stay tuned to see what they are. And then on Saturday live, I have the next retro classic movie show with my co-host, Mr. DJ Anubis, and our special guest, Sci-Fi Century, and we're going to be talking Young Guns 1988. And I, in my hand, am holding something much scarier than a universal monster. This thing makes me feel sick every time I look at it. But because it was free for £20, I thought I better buy it because I couldn't find another pop I wanted. So for Mr. Anthony Jordan, this one's for you.
I actually want that one.
I'll have to wash my hand and disinfect it. But anyway,
Wow.
that is from me. Hope you've liked what you've heard today, and check out all of these guys' channel, and please like, share, and subscribe to them. This has been the Entertainment Headquarters. Keep on enjoying all things entertainment, and we'll catch you all at the next one.